is the Hustler Rip Rogers. Yeah, it's fucking me. Yeah, and listen to the fucking Hameen Media Group. That's Ben Hameen Media Group from Rip Rogers. Go get him and go fuck yourself.
Ding dong. Hello?
سبحان فالق الإصباح.
Yes, y'all, rise and shine. It's time to grind, infidels. Back here, channelattitude.com, Bin Hameen YouTube, and twitch.tv/Hameen Media. We chopped the wood. We carried the water. We waved some guns around on the highway. And now it's time to buck like you just don't care with the vet and hacker Hameen kicking the week off in the Monday locker room. YOLO! Oh, yeah. What's good, guys? Hopefully you had a great weekend and Leatherface didn't kill you or anything like that. My face is feeling like leather from looking into the sun all day yesterday, lifting all that extra white pine off the ground that was chopped in a matter of seconds. And you don't want this guy chopping you down in the corner. Hot Cha, it's my man, the vet, back in the studio with who you know on the Monday locker room. Good morning, vet.
Good morning.
How you doing? They're saying that they were lied to, that you were taking the week off. Did I intrude on your vacation? You need some time off? You need to...
No. I think it's just a clear misunderstanding. So, you know, a lot of interesting things have been happening over here on the West Coast, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, man.
Luckily, the hurricane is going to miss the installation up here because we're a little further north. However, you know, somebody, I don't know who, but they decided to attack the installation with a natural disaster-like weapon. Maybe this is like a weather dominator because they hit my installation with the hydro bomb. So I had to deal with some flooding all weekend. I had to call in the Mercs to come and take care of all this repairs and this cleanup and all this other stuff. And so because of the ongoing situation here, it's possible that I may miss the impact attack for the first time since my addition to the show. It's not 100% that I'll miss it, but if I'm missing anything due to, you know, it's going to be something out of my control. It's not going to be because I'm on something pathetic like a vacation. I've never heard of such a thing.
An act of Allah is the only
yes.
thing that could thwart them.
Or one of these, it could be a conspirator. You know, we were pretty loud and boisterous about what happened to you a few weeks ago with the title hemorrhaging and everything like that. And we were pointing fingers in every possible direction. That's right. And perhaps one of them decided to point a finger back and hit where it hurts. So, you know, I'll be investigating that. But for now, I'm here on the locker room. And everything's a go.
You know, before the big disasters hit, they always run a test run, and I think that's what this might be, vet. So keep you know, on high alert, obviously at the highest levels of DEFCON to watch and see what our enemies are doing off the coast there. You never know with Russian submarines or Antarctic energy weapons, Maui burst, Maui Wowie, and anything else going on, man. They're gonna hit you with a 5.1 earthquake or stand back. There's a hurricane coming through, Hurricane Hillary, which you know is possibly the deadliest name out there as well. So nobody's
this hurricane has you end up with 2 suicide gunshots to the back of your head.
Exactly. The untold hurricane gunshots coming at you unless you're driving in front of Cash Wheeler, and then you never know what could happen. So we just broke some of that down. Stevie red hot this morning, having some technical difficulties redoing his studio. So it was fireside chat with some graphics this morning, but he had to go to I'm going to Jacksonville. So he has to get the show done early this morning. So I appreciate you shifting the schedule around here. So Big Stevie Cool and I could break down edges final match, I don't know. They don't seem to want to quantify it. It was an
Yeah,
awesome end to SmackDown, and a head scratching SmackDown, and a lot of the booking choices of just didn't make sense format wise or storyline wise, and were piecemeal together, where they seem to have focused on the main event in Toronto with Beth Phoenix and the little edge heads at ringside, and just an awesome performance, but still doesn't really close the book, that not the final chapter written. I don't know, head scratching, and that leaves everybody armchair quarterback wise going, do you think Edge is going to end up in AEW? And when I don't think so. He's been WWE loyal since before he was even a worker, when they were actually paying him to be on the indies, and paid his student loans off, and just kind of kept him afloat before he was even in the developmental system. And a guy like that I've had the privilege to kind of spend some quality time with. A $10 million check could tell a different tale, but I think he's for life when it comes to a WWE property, and wouldn't go over there just to jump over for a quick payday, only to possibly be buried and hurt his own legacy. What are you thinking on that one, Vat?
I couldn't tell you. I don't know anything about Edge personally. So I can tell you that I don't think that was the final match, because that's no kind of a, with all due respect to Sheamus, which I do have a lot of respect for Sheamus, but you're not going to have your final match with Sheamus on a random SmackDown. It's just not going to happen. I'm sorry.
It was in Toronto, though. You know what I mean? That's why they booked it like that.
So what? I mean, they would have had to book that a long time before. They would have had to book that building a long time before he could just come out and say, "Hey, I want my final match to randomly be against you." By the time the WWE had to book that,
wouldn't you do it 2 weeks ago at SummerSlam, right? Like, something. I mean, we got Toronto coming. You could have done Edge goodbye, but the match should have been on something big. I agree with you there.
Yeah, when the one thing I think people kind of forget is, like, because of all the events and everything that go on in these venues, they have to book these things well in advance. So, you're not even going to know if a Sheamus is going to be healthy and available by the time you make the booking for the building. It's just a kind of a thing where you get closer to it and you see, oh, okay, now we can maybe do something here. But the way it played out does not seem, like you said, they're not making anything definitive. Could this be his last match in Toronto? Could this be his last match on SmackDown? Just the show SmackDown, and could this just be or is it like they're saying this is the last match on his contract, and then he may sign for just another, one or two appearances, or go for like a pay for play type of deal, where if he has a match that he wants to do, he can come and do it, and if not, he can just chill out. But yeah, now will he go to AEW? Doubtful, like you said, for all the reasons you said. Some people would say, oh, well, Christian's there, they can do something together again. I don't think anybody cares about that.
I disagree. I think the money is those two versus the Bucks. That's where the match is for to go.
There's no money on the Bucks. There's no money on most of the stuff that AEW does for outside people, because Edge and Omega,
and that is all I can see. I'm not saying like do it. I'm just saying that's where the value is. What else is there beyond that?
Right.
Not really him.
But again,
or anything.
But again, we're looking at it from terms of the wrestling. The wrestling bubble, the wrestling insiders, the wrestling fans, and that's not going to draw too many people. Just a match with Omega. There are many people that are very surprised to even see that AEW exists. Even on a daily basis, people are popping up saying, "What's this AEW?" So it's still so new that casual people, not casual people like what the wrestling bubble thinks are casual people, but true casual people.
You're not going to sit there and tell me that when you have the most well-known referee in all of wrestling that people don't know about the product. I mean, Don is known from coast
That's
to
exactly
coast.
what I'm going to sit here and tell you, and I'll comfortably sit here and tell you that, because it's just what I see in the real world with the people that I interact with that have nothing to do with like internet wrestling community. They just watch what's on TV. They don't follow it super closely. They don't know everything about everybody's personal lives. They don't know that Cash Wheeler was arrested. These type of people, it's very interesting what they know and what they don't know. So if Edge were to go over there and have a match with Kenny Omega or the Young Bucks, That's going to excite the people that are already the fans of AEW, and it'll just be something cool for them. And it will pull some of the knowledgeable WWE fans over to maybe, steal a pay-per-view buy. But that's about it.
Yeah, the chat room here blowing up, going nuts on Ben Hameen YouTube channel already. Appreciate you guys hanging with us, and I know we're an hour delayed here, but just getting your shows done because I had to accommodate schedule for Big Stevie Cool, and not a problem there. Happy to do it. But I do see above the wrestling talk, as we kicked it off with the wrestling talk, they want the conspiracy horseman talk. And where's the horseman? Well, I mean, that's the question, right? And I don't know if you'll ever see the horsemen together again. And it's not anything that we don't love each other till the end of time. It's guys have just wanted to take themselves out of the equation to do other things. And now I'm kind of in that too. And I feel like GGP is the one left fighting. You can check him out on the A show. Not that we all aren't talking together behind closed doors, but the horsemen did as much service as we could do to, we can do more. It's just the schedule is ridiculous, but everybody wants to know about the Maui burst weapon, directed energy weapon discussion. You can hear some of that on Master Shoot Theater, and now Infowars.com. Yeah.
I would have rather heard you guys talk about Triple H not being on the board of directors.
I've talked to TSA agents. I've talked to head of TSA, 2 other federal, and inside, and they said that in October, new mandates, mask mandates, travel mandates with the TSA are coming. So yeah, here we go, guys. Putin said it fucking 4 weeks ago that a new engineered crisis is coming. You ask yourselves why. Put your conspiracy horseman hats on to lock it down, to cause a civil war that could thwart an entire election, or much like they did during COVID last time with all the mail-ins, and it worked for them to do a completely rigged election and blame it on whoever else. They're going to run that play again if it worked for them. But what are they really going to do? Divide us, have you screaming at somebody at fucking Tim Hortons or fucking whatever who wants you to put a mask on and do all that instead of turning your vitriol and rage and what ended up in our last major almost overthrow on the 6th of some year, that's what they want to push it towards. Do they want to not have an election so they can stay in ultimate power? Our fucking major companies that are bigger than countries now and incorporated across the world have weaponry and satellites that they are now just going, fuck your family, fuck your house, fuck your whole block. We're taking all this over. And if you say anything about it, guess what? I've got a plasma energy weapon that can incinerate you where you sleep anywhere on the planet. So keep talking that shit to me. Like, there's that strange fear that countries and all that are over as we move kicking and screaming into the new world order, one world government with aliens here and every other goddamn thing. And it's almost too much for people to handle, and you have an instant fear put back in you in the last 2 to 3 years, and it's a healthy one to have. But this time they're not going to get away with
get vaccinated.
They're just going to have lockdowns, hate, and a lot of going back and forth. Is it to cause civil war? Is it to divide this country and break it down? Problem, reaction, solution. They control all three. So if you see what the problem is, what reaction are you going to give them? That's the key step. Are you going to feed for them right away? Like the 85 who don't got a clue? How could he know what the fuck he never knew? Or are you going to be part of the 10%ers who are awoke and doing it? Or are you actually going to go at those 5%ers and hurt them where they fucking stand? You know what I mean? And really be in the face of it at the barricades of freedom, Les Mis style. My guess is people are going to fucking feed for CNN and be dumb fucks, and gas will go to $5 and you'll get some $1,400 payoff check while you hate your neighbors and everything about life. And they will thwart this country into, not this country, this world into the one world government that they keep fucking, they're not going to let up. They're not going to let up. So whether it's InfoWars telling you TSA stooge off or anything else that doesn't sound right, look right, feel right, boats 100 yards off the shore, fully engulfed in flames, houses melted to the foundation, but a tree 20 feet away is still perfectly green and not touched. If that doesn't tell you what's really going on, or anybody in your family who's got too much of a myopic vision to understand the true psyop and actual terrorist attack that we're under from the masters, that's just them having to shut down. I can only sit here for 10, 15 years, tell you exactly what's happening, what my thoughts are on it, and then it comes true. A guy goes from Las Vegas sheriff to now he's the top dog in Maui who's handling this. Do you understand the odds, the astronomical odds against that those two things, major world events happening, and the same guys on the same patrol, but just happens to be coincidence and circumstance. Some people's minds can't handle that, and it's in their psyche to break down and say no and turn against the people in their own tribe because they can't handle that they're just a small part that's being used. They really bit into the lie that there was freedom, there was choice, there was all of these things. It's not. It's all an illusion. So you guys want conspiracy horsemen? You are conspiracy horsemen. You listen long enough. You don't need me to go, yes, I knight you and fucking you understand what's going on. If you're asking me about it in the chat, you're already following it, whether you believe in Alex's as a disinformation propagandist. Regardless, is this far beyond anything that they wouldn't run this play again? Absolutely not. So get ready. And what are you going to do? What you going to do, brother, to step up and fucking not sell for them in the way that they want you to do? So y'all, good luck to everybody on the west side over there too, man, with earthquakes and fucking incoming killery storms and the people suffering in Maui, and you know, the bigger psyop of why they won't let any relief in there, and why. You guys know, you guys see what's going on. Ask the question why, and then pick one of the most greedy and selfless answers, and then you'll probably be about where the BlackRock board of directors are, Vanguard, Northrop Grumman, any fucking ex-military leader that now works for a for-profit defense agency. That's who runs the planet now, because we sat here and didn't do fuck all, listen to talking head communications majors on Fox and CNN, and had to pick a side of which 75-year-old clueless fuckface you're on while they rape the system, as opposed to going, get me Cash Wheeler. We're going, get the pistols. We're going out, baby, in a blaze of glory. So will we be there at this next go round? How much can you take till you broke your break, you know? And I don't know what to tell you. I'm 200 feet below ground level in a debunked missile silo, so I'm feeling good about where I'm going. And I can always do marijuana delivery, and so I'm almost
they're going to need
half-ass hoping for it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, well, how do I? That's what I'm saying. How do I cash in based off these motherfuckers who are going to ruin the world? And then I also take an even bigger step back and go, won't it be funny in 6 years when me and Vet are hauling huge pieces of limestone to build new pyramids for our alien overlords? And I go, hey, Vet, remember when we used to do a podcast and I was bitching about a marijuana license? Boy, those were the good old days, weren't they? Heave, right? Yep. Like, is that a possibility that by 2030 we're all enslaved in an alien race, and all these things we cunt off about now, about who's pissed off about their push in wrestling as meaningless because there is no wrestling? Now there's only pit fight to the death for your alien overlord insectivorous masters. Boy, those will be good days ahead. I can't wait.
Yeah. Well, I like to go the 10,000 BC route, and we'll use a cloned woolly mammoth to pull those limestone blocks for us, and rather than do it ourselves.
We'll do it, man. Oh, that's right, because all they want to do is grab some pussies out here, and now they're all taking gummies, and DX is invading. But shout out to all the Bearcats, man. I had a really tough day on Friday with the court case, the judge's decision, and now we're in for next Friday. I got to travel 3 hours again, and we're actually in the lawsuit. So shout out to my partners for ponying up that retainer for the lawyer. it was just as much as a human can handle, I guess, emotionally. And then I had to chop wood and carry water at the 76th annual New York State Boonesville Woodsman's Field Days World Championship Lumberjack Show. So that'll humble you fast and give you a nice half sunburn when you got your head gimmick on all day long. But here I am back with the people who matter in the wrestling biz, my man, the vet, and all the HMG soldiers hanging out. So there's your conspiracy horseman talk. Anything else, vet, that you want to?
No. Well, I don't usually. I try to avoid getting dragged into the conspiracy quicksand and everything like that. So I don't have much to add anyway. But that is why everything that you just laid out and it's the hesitance to lay that out that is the real reason that the horseman may not ride for some time, because there's always it's all those people making it difficult to say those things or make those things heard. Even on a remonetized YouTube channel, it's a risk to even say the sentences you said. So that's really the reason why, as you were trying to allude to. It's not that there's anything between you guys. No. It's just that there's very little benefit to saying these things that most of the people should already know by now. Like you said, they're following along, they know. So you've been led to the water. You've got to drink it. We can't just keep leading because it gets us shut down.
Right. It feels like we're getting pushed out as the human shields to be demonetized, crush our own brands in the name of waking people up. People, if you haven't gotten to this point after the pandemic and and attack on your country 22 years ago and still won't talk about WTC 7 the way it should be, then there ain't much more that me, Big Sal, and Stevie and GGP can do to bring you to that, because everything we talked about for 5 years is pretty much on target.
I will say, I will just add this only because it's my anecdotal factual experience. After the restrictions were lifted last time somewhat, and then after that you started hearing things about variants and it's gonna come back and everything in my environment personally, and from what I've seen in other places too, everybody just largely shrugged that off like, yeah, nice try, we're not doing that again. So running the same play may not be effective. They may have to switch it up a little bit, but I don't think people will have the patience to go through the exact same things again. And I think the people that were very loudly saying that everyone should go with the flow will probably end up getting shouted down much more than they did, the previous times. But that's basically that's what I saw. I saw people reacting with like, yeah, I ain't doing that. Like they basically just, softly refused, and everything kind of just went on as normal. There were really no more restrictions reinforced. The people weren't arguing about whether they should mask or not. It was just everybody just did whatever they felt like they were comfortable doing, which is how it should be. I mean, if you feel like you want to go outside and wear a mask, you should do that if that's what you feel comfortable. But most people were just doing whatever they felt like doing, and there wasn't a lot of...
That's not going to happen, though, between your fucking woke Starbucks barista who thinks they're fucking empowered because of 58 different reasons about their fucking feelings and the flag they fly, and then when that comes down to the fucking people, the Karens who are...
well, there's going to be... That's going to be a case-by-case basis, because there's also going to be a lot of Starbucks baristas who don't have time for this bullshit either, but they still need a job. So, you're just... It's going to be case by case, bro. It's going to be case by case.
It's going to be 2 or 3 is all you need to fucking showcase. And then now we're divided, and now you're moving towards a civil war that is to throw the country into complete chaos and to stop the elections. So because they are probably looking at it, this is why I say ask the why. They know they got these motherfuckers by the balls on Chinese payoffs and every other goddamn thing. And they know that they're fucked, so their brand is ruined, and they got nobody to run that's a viable opponent to keep their new world order liberal side in. They're hammering fucking Cheeto Face over here in Georgia to make sure he's damaged goods and can't run, and the guy from Florida already kind of cut his own throat. RFK ain't gonna do shit because nobody believes his old fucking voice, even though he's jacked on TRT. So now we have no choice or way to the future, and those with the money are gonna fucking offset it all, because what better way to have the solution of like, we're going to move into this phase. The constitute, there'll be a whole phase of the Constitution's bullshit. It was all a dream. We tried it. This works better for humanity. We need to keep evolving. Like this whole besmirchment of freedom. And it'll be a communist, digital communism rebranded in a very new world order way, where I saw pieces the other day on this girl in China who had to have the entire verification face scan in order to buy anything, food, anything. And then I saw some dumb twat in Seattle at a Whole Foods putting her hand over the scanner going, oh my God, it's so cool that my fingerprint is tied to my bank account. And that's all I need to do now, the Jedi mind shit. Like, they have no idea that they are fully plugged into a walking matrix as a human resource. And that's where we're going with it. And an easy way to put that shit over is to have no government standing in your way. And that's the bigger op that's going on here, you guys. I mean, people can feel whatever way they want. Cheeto Face deserves it. They all deserve it. They all fucking deserve pitchforks and torches in the short end of a fucking rope. And until you axe out the right 1,500 of them, nothing changes, baby. Nothing changes. But we're gonna make some chit changes as we get to the dirt sheets here. This one was an AEW botch's favorite this week. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre match, that crossover for video game. The Kerry blood bucket. I don't know if that was Moxley's blood he'd been saving for like 3 months backstage.
Could be. Got
Dumped on Karen Jarrett. We had the big Satnam Singh run-ins. The lighting was kind of off. We finally have the Leatherface run-in, whipping the chainsaw around. And everybody's going online. I don't want to hear any fucking AEW fan ever shit talk Russo again. That popped the shit out of me, based on, what we're trying to do, and just wrestle cringe, wrestle crap, and we got to do it. I didn't mind the segment that much. It didn't really fucking piss me off because, I took it for what it was. But the internet wanted to get their shit in, as they do, Vet.
Sure. Well, yeah, this is what happens when you have sponsors.
Right.
You cannot, like when you're in Tony Khan's position, you're not going to do anything to rock the boat with Warner Brothers Discovery, because, you're kind of on thin ice. At least even if it's not real, you probably feel like you are, because you don't want to get wrestling kicked off a network again by refusing anything. However, Warner Brothers, that whole thing, has got to be the most inept entertainment company probably that's ever existed on the face of the earth, that got that big, because think of all the properties that they own that they fail to monetize in significant ways. Like they can't make a good Superman movie to save their life. They're doing nothing with the Looney Tunes. There's so many things that they own, and they're just, shitting the bed on everything and
like
hemorrhaging money,
value, right? Like they're not getting any
right. And to the idea, Warner Brothers should be as big as, like, at least in the ballpark of Disney in terms of brand recognition and revenue generation. And instead, they are looked at as the smaller half of the merger with the fucking Discovery Channel. So what has happened to you in the 100 years where you've just, fucked everything up so bad that you're in these positions that you now are like trying to, like, your biggest, financial success this year is probably going to come from the Mortal Kombat video game that comes out next month, because that brand is doing well despite, all of your company's involvement, because they're taking care of their own product, and they have love for their IP, and they protect that, and they make it interesting for fans, and they continue to evolve it for fans. But everything else everything should be a layup. It should be no problem to make a superhero set of movies or anything with or video games for that matter too, with the DC Comics characters or stuff like that, and they're falling well behind Marvel in that. So and then when you see a Leatherface come out on this thing, on top of that, it's like, you know, as Jim Cornette called it, the great value Leatherface, where the clothes are clean, the mask is like it's from Walgreens, the chainsaw is brand new and it's not turned on. They're playing the chainsaw noise through the PA. Like this is all, you know, it could have been better. Could have been better.
Yeah, could have been. I saw some serious chainsaws this weekend in Run What You
Yeah, I
Know.
bet.
There's no doubt about that, buddy. Yeah, and there's a strange follow up to this. Here we go. Fuck it. Ooh, better play video. Three cuts, 5.7 seconds. Yeah, it was one of the an indie guy or a guy who had been there for a couple other things that they didn't know that was Leatherface. They dressed him up, but I was thinking about that too, because those chainsaws there, those guys engineer those and they run on high octane or ethanol, and they're to even get them started is a gamble when you get one pull and go. But he had the little fucking Ace Hardware bush trimmer one with no gimmick on it, as opposed to having one that looks like it's beat up, weathered as an old fucking 1970s some shit, right?
Yeah, just to give you an example, dude, like even if you use that exact chainsaw, it's nothing stopping you from at least like painting it or something to look like it's different.
There's no weathering,
instead of bright green or whatever bullshit that you know the real Leatherface would never have. You could at least make it look.
I was thinking during that, because I'm sitting there watching these chainsaws and my marketing mind's always going. Steel was our sponsor. Husqvarna had pulled out, but Steel took over, and they had these cool chainsaw bars with like nice graphics on them. I go, why is nobody doing that, dude? Like a Buffalo Bills one. I thought a Leatherface. I'm like, one that looks like a meat grinder one, whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of customization shit that could have been done. I'm always just thinking business, and like I got time to pitch fucking the NFL chainsaw bars and shit like that. But you know, camo ones, like customized everything is what we do as a society. So they want to see this one in the chat room. Big shout out to my girl Martha King, chopping her ass up out there. Boom, cha! Look at that. Boom. Some seriously athletic women out there, bro. Yeah, hot cha. Come on, one more. No. Boom. Fuck you. Great time out there hanging and banging with all the wives, man. Watching pro athletes do what they do. It's always impressive, man. And those axes are razor sharp, literally will shave you. No doubt about that. So to watch the competition change every year and have a whole crew of super athletic females who could play any sport, and athletic males who, some of those guys, you're like, how is this guy not in UFC or in NFL? Like some of the dudes out there, such insane power in what they're doing in precision. So there you go. There's your tape trader masturbator. Don't even think about Martha. She's too nice of a person. But here's the follow-up on that is the weird salve that, and maybe you can give me some insight. Dustin Rhodes tweets, I thought that the Texas Chainsaw match was entertaining as fuck. People were saying it was the worst match ever are full of shit. I have that honor. Remember me being in the back of a moving 18-wheeler with a cage around? King of the Road got no love, and in honesty, we did great, and it was entertaining. Is that now what we do? I think you're supposed to be, is that not what we do? Fucking Lighten Francis. I don't know what fucking Lighten Francis means. That feels like worker talk to me.
Lighten Up Francis is a line from Stripes.
Okay. Fucking Lighten Francis.
He typoed it up, so it's confusing. But
so then there's some hashtags, and then at the end it says at Jeff Jarrett, at Jeff Hardy, killed it. They always do. Plus, I love hashtag Leatherface. But then in this fucking tweet, hashtag AEW Dynamite, at AEW, hashtag Maui Food Bank.
Oh, because their Fight for the Fallen is donating all the proceeds for the shows this week
Okay, because that's
to the
what
Maui
had me
Food
weird
Bank.
about
That's the charity that they're sponsoring with Fight for the Fallen. All the proceeds, all the ticket sales for Dynamite, Collision,
Okay, well,
whatever
good
is
for
going
them
to
then, because
that.
that to me, what I didn't know that, so that's I'm super grateful that before I say some stupid shit, that you fucking smart.
I mean, you said it all at the top, so you don't need to say it again anyway. But
yeah, yeah,
but yeah,
very.
that's it.
So, well, I tip my hat to them for that. As I was kind of worried, I'm like, why is Dustin using hashtag Maui Food Bank to try and get likes on his tweet? This guy's a legend. I'm going, why is he even selling to have to put over a wrestle crap cross promotion like to go with the trolls? He's Dustin. He's a fucking hopefully soon to be Hall of Famer. And like I don't get these guys coming off their superstar to have to go to defend other dudes. These guys that he mentions, Jeff Jarrett and Jeff Hardy, are all way over and made. Them lowering themselves to give any attention what the peanut gallery is saying is a mistake, in my opinion. You know, I don't know why wrestlers keep selling for this shit.
I don't know. I guess it just gets old. Like when you have a real strong social media following like Dustin Rhodes does compared to like the regular people, you probably see a lot more shit every time you log in there. And working for AEW, you're going to have a constant barrage of people just, tearing down everything you do, whether it deserves to or not. Like, yeah, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre match was the shits. Is it the worst? Like he said, is it the worst match ever? No, not even close. It's not even the worst match. AEW's done more serious matches that were worse than that. So that's not even the case, but it was just the latest thing, and that's what social media is all about. Social media is about the latest thing, jumping on the trends. That's why it's called trending. And that's why he probably, if nothing else, it doesn't really matter the content of what he said, but if the Maui Food Bank hashtag helped people get some awareness and maybe wanted to donate, hopefully it's not one of these, kayfabe charities that's just going to rob these, because,
I wish there was
we can't always trust the charities to do the right thing, right? So hopefully it's not that.
Me not knowing just looked like, why is Dustin jumping on the Maui tragedy just to get some traction on his tweet? Like that out of context, it was weird to me. So thank you for clarifying that.
No problem. That's what I'm here
for. More social media indiscretions. One of CM Punk's Instagram stories was possibly a shot at Matt Jackson's wife. Prior to the 2023 Ring of Honor Death Before Dishonor pay-per-view, Punk shared a photo of an event t-shirt via his Instagram story. Punk included laughing and thinking emojis along with the following caption: "Absolutely not shocking. How could this happen?" The printed shirt incorrectly listed Saturday as the day of the event when it was actually Friday. Meltzer noted that while some shirts were printed up, the error was discovered quickly and none of the shirts were sold. Meltzer also stated the following: "Why Punk did that was unknown, but internally some saw that as a shot at Dana Massey, the wife of Matt Jackson, who was in charge of AEW merchandise. Whatever it was, it didn't seem to make any sense to post it, and certainly wasn't good for public optics." And here he is. I mean, he just cannot help himself possibly of why he's putting that out there, taking short shots. He just did it with Hangman and then had to apologize. He's been in the face of Jungle Boy over glass this week and coming off a Brawl In, headed into Wembley, and nobody wants to sell for anybody's shit and use the actual heat. It just seems like one thing after another that a guy who's a superstar should not be doing, taking like little fucking shots like that at a guy's wife. Like, what does it really matter? You're tearing your own company down, making them look bad. Like this shit hasn't been resolved is what it's saying. And you're supposed to be the over superstar, but you're taking the lowest road possible because you just can't stop or help yourself from fucking doing these asshole type things. And this can happen almost anywhere. I'm not be like Dana Massey, what a fool. Like a mistake off of a calendar date on that of a Friday or Saturday. It's not like the NXT shirts where they got fucking racist things going out, you know what I mean, when that whole controversy was going on. It's not like she's doing that shit. It was a date that was off on some Ring of Honor pay-per-view that no one gives a flying fuck about, and probably only 4 people bought that shirt. And the fact is, if you got a misprint, now that shirt's a collector's item. So I would be going, you know what? Maybe we should fuck up a shirt or two now and then to make it a collector's item that we can sell for $100 a fucking rip. But nope, more important to try and rib a fucking chick who's busting her ass to make sure everybody's trying to make some money. Okay.
Well,
Yeah, and if you're the top merch seller, guess who I wouldn't want fucking up my stuff? Like, if there's anybody you want on your team, it would be her. You know what I mean?
I'm sure he's got his own deal set up.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the thing. Well, again, you know, after we talked about it last week and having to hear people talk about it all the time, it just really reinforces the way I feel that this is all just like this tit for tat stuff is not meant for like public news consumption. Why are we hearing about this? It's because of these people and their you know, they're stooges. Why do we know, like, why were people sent home from the Collision tapings? Because they're known stooges. And they're like, get out of here. Why is Jungle Boy not allowed to use glass? And CM Punk says we don't do that on Saturdays? Because they're known stooges. So these things are a tit for tat response. Maybe that Instagram story was a response to something that his wife said that we don't know. And we're not going to know that because the Stooges aren't going to tell us everything that they do. They're only going to tell you Punk's reaction to the Stooges. So let's not forget that Hangman started all this shit when he went into business for himself on live television, and it was all downhill from there. Because before that, it seemed like Punk was happy to do whatever chopping wood and carrying water needed to be done on the show, from commentary to promos to matches with people that didn't deserve to be in the ring with him, to so on and so forth and all this. And then Hangman goes into business for himself because he's insecure and he feels threatened. And then this all sort of like stems from that. So, you know, and then what's going to happen? We're just going to hear about all of this little quote unquote petty stuff that he does, which is probably in retaliations for petty stuff that he has to deal with that doesn't get reported, because that's not the Stooges' job to report what they're doing.
Right. And that's what it is. It's getting out because of the Stooges. But Frank gets the points this morning, even though he puts over the rib. They did a conspiracy horseman card. I think Immortal had done it, and one of the first ones. And there's no W on it, but instead of horseman, they spelled horseman. So there's a rare conspiracy horseman out there.
Great.
As well. And Couponer agrees. We'll keep going with the Stooges because he's making moments. I mean, straight from Ronaldo Piven's desk. How top talent and officials in AEW were said to have reacted to the news of Cash Wheeler's arrest. This could be the most Meltzer story I've ever seen Tricky Nick put out here, with having no story, thinking that it was going to be whatever. But now when you run your own business, guess who it's on? And I'm sure Nick's finding that out the fun way. He says, on 2 occasions, I was the person to break the news. Got to put yourself over first. To break the news to members of upper management who seemed completely unaware of what was unfolding. House of Wrestling has not been able to confirm whether Tony Khan, CM Punk, or Wheeler's tag team partner Dax Hardwood knew anything how anything was going to play out today. We were given the impression by someone close to the situation that Khan did not know, but again, we've not been able to confirm that, and we are waiting for a response from Khan. Bullshit. As soon as Don Stevens found out about it, it was in Khan's ear. So a no answer from Tricky Nicky. But you know, as we get into it, I had read the report from the person who filed the grievance against him that had Cash Wheeler arrested, saying that he was tailgating him, weaving in and out of traffic, and when he pulled up alongside him, brandished a pistol. I'm not sure what it was, a 9 or a Glock or something, maybe. And
wait, who was tailgating who?
That Cash was on this guy who was going so he was pissed at him from behind or whatever, and then pulled up alongside him, did the deed, and the guy saw it, hit the brakes, let him go ahead, like, fuck this fucking psycho, who knows how much Florida water he's on, and let him go ahead, and then roll tape on his license plate and called the police from the road saying this guy did it. And then they both got off at the same exit, but the guy said that he had to go to work and didn't have time to go do the police report, so he gave the police all the information over the phone. They found him on the road in the area they were, because police have radios and multiple police, pulled over and busted from there. And that the guy would follow up at work later with a cop show up and take a picture of, this is what I'd read in the thing, of cash. And it goes into some like randomizer where you do a digital, what do you call it when you got to pick lineup? And the guy picked him right away, first one, and that was enough to fucking to do what they needed to do. Got released on $2,500 bond. I had watched, and the judge said he had to any weapons at home at all had to be turned in within the next 12 hours. So no pulling your passport or what have you, which is immediately what the AEW botches and all them want to laugh and be like, see, there goes your Wembley main event. Now, maybe not via the courts, but WWE sure as shit would suspend you or fire you like they did Ducey and send you home, even though he brought it to work and not just on the road. Did he have that gun in his car or on his person at work? And with AEW woke culture and very, whatever the cause is, probably anti-Second Amendment in a lot of ways, will they flex on him to be like, you're not going to Wembley, we can't have this type of behavior and it's bad PR and da-da-da-da, even if the court doesn't? Or will they go, nope, we need him because he's over. And, he's part of Cobra Kai 3.0. So he gets to fucking go to Wembley and no woke culture will rain down upon thee, FTR. Fuck the revolver or whatever it is.
Get the match in the ring, Ben. You can deal with everything after that. It's nice. It is refreshing, though, to hear a story that sounds like pro wrestling where a wrestler is brandishing a firearm on the highway
that's
rather
true.
than just an Instagram story that could be directed at somebody's wife. That's a much more pro wrestling story. So I'm glad that we can talk about it. Other than that, I really don't care. But yeah, like,
don't let him and Arn ride together. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, don't do it. Don't you do it. 2 guns. Yeah.
But here's the pop for me. And again, it's more inside the bubble stuff. So here comes the Florida Condo Crew Over Squad. And MJF releases a tweet about how people can jump to conclusions quick, and comes to Cash Wheeler's defense. He said, and puts it over that he's a great guy, one of the best guys I know, except for when he's waving guns around at people on the highway. So don't judge him by that, and you guys don't know. And then here's what I love in wrestling. Last 2 weeks ago, we had all this shit with the girls fucking coming together to bury Lufisto and, over how she was treated backstage, and you can't say anything bad about the company or fuck you. And everybody comes out, and MJF hops on her too and tap dances on her because it isn't that easy to do and show that you're some locker room leader or what have you, when really you're a kid still and you should be shutting the fuck up. But so Lufisto takes it and fucking says, I'm glad I could unite your locker room or what have you. Then the dust settles and you wait for the next heater to do the thing. This Cash Wheeler gun charge comes up and Lufisto sweeps the leg. Retweets MJF's tweet with this 2-page letter. Dear Mr. Friedman, 2 weeks ago, I too was very disappointed by how many people were jumping to conclusions so quick. Yes, we're all human, we're all flawed, and we all make mistakes. I had my fair share. I wasn't blessed with much luck or what you call people's privilege, but I did my best, learning through trials and errors, falling down and getting back up and trying again and again. I knew I'd be criticized for sharing my personal story and about what happened the day I walked into the AEW women's locker room. However, I never expected that tweets from you and your colleagues would lead to harassment and death threat messages that are still going on to this day. It's true, I didn't make it to the big leagues. You don't have to remind me. I know it. It doesn't mean I don't deserve to be called miserable. It doesn't mean I'm not good enough. It doesn't mean I'm difficult to work with. It doesn't mean I'm delusional. You called me many things, but what I'm not is a liar. If anything, my mouth and need to call out things the way they are has been my undoing in this industry, where silence is expected to keep your job or to get one. Quote, if someone's been a professional in wrestling for over a decade and you find them to be talented, but they've never truly panned out, there's a reason for it, end quote. My intergender matches were bad for TV. My hardcore matches were too violent and didn't present a good image of women. I was too thick for the cookie sheet model types they were looking for. When I felt something was wrong, I would speak, argue. Therefore, I was labeled a problem. When you're the only girl on the roster, it's a curse. Today, everything I described is praised. No, I'm not crazy, but yes, I have struggles. To look strong, unbreakable, and to show that that nothing was affecting me, I kept everything to myself and was being beaten and mentally abused and physically for years in wrestling and at home. It made me an introvert with chronic depression who can't trust anybody. Jesus keeps going and going and going.
Yeah, too long, didn't read.
Yeah. But in the end, it comes back all the way around to judging someone without knowing their story has consequences. The support you show your friend Cash is admirable. You know him, so you might know why. I work for a detention facility, so I'm aware that such actions are way too complicated and to comprehend quickly. There are many factors to take into consideration before judging the human involved and the situation. I really wish you would have done the same grace and common courtesy towards me, especially since you and I don't even know each other. Maybe the next time it'll happen to someone else. You will or not. Sorry, not sorry. Jen Goulet, Lufisto. I love that you can come out here and bury somebody over fucking stupid wrestling heat and then be so in the bubble and so with your boys that when they're waving around a 9mm on the fucking highway for no reason at strangers because they think they're over and untouchable, that you're going to come out and give them all the benefit of the doubt. Hey, but that cunt who had the fucking match who talks shit about the girls who are really catty bitches most of the time, fuck her and everything she's at. And all she has to do is wait and wait and wait. And fucking Lufisto came out and swept the legs on this. And now crickets when it comes to the over guys and how they fucking think they can talk that shit. All you got to do is give them enough rope and they will hang themselves every fucking time. And then sometimes some of them really will go hang themselves after they get future endeavored as well. So that hypocrisy double standard inside the fucking bubble will always be able to come back from dorks or whatever the fuck it is, you know, to it's just B12. Yeah, sure it is. All that shit. They'll always end up burying themselves. And she kicked him right in the fucking, he spread his legs and said, kick me in the nuts right here. And she was happy to oblige it.
Did she? Because I don't know if anybody even bothered to read through that whole manifesto that she
It's
put.
a long one.
Lufesto. So I think I think that I'm sure everybody. This is the thing. I'm sure from my position, I'm sure everybody involved is wonderful people, and these are all just misunderstandings. The outsiders are going to stay out. The outsiders are going to stay outside. The insiders are going to stick together. That's the way it always is. Big surprise that MJF sticks up for the people he knows and not the people he doesn't. That would be the same thing if some outsider came into whatever Lufisto's home base locker room was and tried to tell them how it was. I'm sure it would be the same deal. But the bottom line is, if you're going to, this is my thing about I'm not even going to comment on what is, isn't, shouldn't be, or anything like that. All I'm going to say is, if you can't sweep the leg in a tweet in a couple of hard-hitting lines, don't even bother, because when you start typing out essays, it's cringe. It's cringe to read essays on the internet. You need to jab, and that's it. You don't throw. This isn't a sweep. This is a sweep from Dalsim from across the room, where the leg is like coming for like 10 minutes or whatever. Just if it finally gets there, the person might be gone.
Who got flame?
That's right, baby.
Yeah,
so.
She could have gone home with just the fucking last 2 or 3 lines, and it would have been half short and twice strong, as Jizzard taught us. But the reality too is just like so sweet to be like, you'll besmirch me and call me nothing, and I'm not shit based off a wrestling match. Somebody's doing a felony charge, but because they're over and live at the cooler condo place, best guy I know. You know what I mean? Could do no wrong. The double standard hypocrisy when pointed out is beautiful, and that's when you get the 26-year-olds to shut the fuck up and shut the fuck up like they should have from the jump. So we'll see how it shakes out. Do you think that they'll suspend him, or is he going to Wembley? Are they going to use their actual woke culture and make a statement, or are they going to go, nope, he's team over, Cobra Kai 3.0, he can do what he wants?
Bro, how can they suspend him if how can the Bucks go over on them if he's suspended?
Right. Well, that's the thing. You get somebody else to come on in. I would put Arn in his spot. Speaking of guns, Bruce Pritchard on the dark side of the ring. A lot of what they present as facts is 100% bullshit, unsubstantiated bullshit lies.
Oh, kettle calling the kettle here.
Yeah. Get me Black Kettle. Ducey said on his podcast, I can't watch those things. I think they dwell on the negativity and lies and bullshit and hearsay, and they exploit that so much, and it's based on, the rumor and innuendo. It's just 100% complete bullshit. The producers do their homework to the extent that it satisfies them. When you dispute their homework and give them facts that don't support their story and narrative, they choose to ignore it. And that's why I've not done anything since the first ones that I did for the first season, and will never do anything with them again, because I don't like the way they present stories, because they're only looking for negativity to exploit. Well, it is called Dark Side of the Ring, Deuce. And in my old age, I learned there's a lot more than negativity. There's pussy. Why not exploit some messages of good shit? Because then it would be bright side of the ring, and there's not many of those. You know what it should be called? The lies of the ring, because a lot of what they present as facts are 100% bullshit. I've been saying this since the jump, and how they've tried to pit Cornette and Russo against each other because they thought that was going to happen. Almost every producer I've ever dealt with out of Hollywood is half-ass clueless and doesn't want to listen to the right idea that makes money and does things the right way. So I've had, not that I know any of them, but just the way they produce their shit and what they do to tear down the wrestling business as opposed to help everything along. I'm not a fan of them either, and I'm with Deuce on this one, right? Hate bot.
It says hate bot.
Yeah, man. What are you thinking about I haven't seen the new Marty Jannetty one. I did watch the what's his name from Canada, gay dude, gay gimmick, fucking, he did the gay gimmick in the 80s.
From Canada?
Yeah, or from Buffalo. From
Buffalo?
What's his name?
Adrian Adonis?
The Adrian Adonis one, yeah. I watched that one. That was all right. I watched the Dino Bravo one, and obviously anything with Russo Bash at the Beach. But just the way they constantly present, even when Russo walks in and Bischoff, who has been pretty much outed too, is full on lying about a bunch of shit. And usually when you see somebody calling a pathological liar, like, and there's no proof to it, they're outing themselves, when it comes to it for whatever reason. I'm not sure why or what he's got going on. Hope it works out. But to see the reenactment, and the guy who's playing Hogan might know a little bit about him, because I just dropped my Canadian world title to Rob Rage. So Rob, I'm glad Rob's getting paid to do it, because he's fucking super jacked. Yeah. And he played Hawk too, I think, in another one, when Legion of Doom won. But when Russo, the reenactment, walks in, Hogan's like, sit the fuck down and da-da-da. And it's not like that at all, Vince says. It was very just like creative meeting, how we would. What do you guys want to do? Let's do it. But they try and put this spin on it because they want to have these Bischoff-like reactions. And Bischoff is selling it like that's the way it went. So is he in on it for a fatter payday too? Just lies upon lies upon lies, as opposed to telling how shit went down and skewing, not lies, but skewing the truth of how the temperature was in the room. And that kind of sets the tone, right?
Yeah. Well, so there's so much ground that they've covered in the 4 seasons or whatever that they've done this, that it's kind of all over the place. Some topics you couldn't cover if you had a whole season to cover them, and other topics you couldn't stretch. You had to really stretch. I think the reason they turned I think it was the Brawl for All was the one where they turned it into a Russo Cornette thing. And it's probably because what is there really to say about the Brawl for All? It happened, you know, like there's not a lot of detail there, so they tried to get something out of it. Like I sympathize somewhat with those guys. I've listened to them multiple times in interviews and things, and they seem like they're pretty decent guys. They know though that, you know, for the channel that they're on and for the kind of thing, like it's like even the title is like, hey, you got to watch this because Dark Side of the Ring sounds a lot more interesting or intriguing than just something a little more generic. Some of the things are like historically informative. If you've never heard a lot of these stories, a lot of these stories I have heard, so they didn't really bring a lot of new stuff. So you're up to the anecdotes that you get from the guys, and you know how wrestlers are. You can sit them down, ask them a question, and they'll go off on these tangents and stuff. And now you've got to edit that and chop that up into something usable. So there's like, I get that this is a headache and it's not anything that I would ever, want to be a part of just because of that reason. Like it's just way too much. It's way too much to untangle. But I don't think that they have like some sort of like a devious plan other than they're wrestling fans. They wanted to tell some of these stories that people have never heard, and maybe it gets a little out of, if their reach exceeds their grasp sometimes, and they try to do their best. But
I disagree. I think they are doing this. I think they absolutely are fucking. Let's get
they seem to be just Canadians who are trying to make a TV show. I don't really get that vibe from them. You can get that vibe from watching the shows, but from them, I don't see it. But
I think there's enough in the real story that they don't need to do that. And when they do it, it exposes to me who they are.
Sometimes, but if you're getting the quote unquote real story from people who aren't agreeing on what the story is, then you're gonna have to sort of cut this and craft a narrative. Every documentary, there are no such things as objective documentaries. You will always just subconsciously lean into something that you want to say. Yeah. So with wrestling, it's way less cut and dried than anything else. So I don't know, but if you are not privy to all these stories, then watching them, as long as you just realize, hey, you got to take all this stuff with a whole shaker of salt, then they can be informative too. So,
well, she had her own Dark Side of the Ring story on WWE, but they never really panned out with it. They just talked about her getting abused and being poor. But now Lacey Evans, aka Macy Estrella, now that she is no longer working for WWE, here's an update. Lacey did an interview with YourIslandNews.com. Okay. And it was revealed that she will be opening a cafe called Sunny Summers Cafe on Monday in Beaufort, South Carolina. The article noted that while Lacey was granted was grateful for her time in WWE, quote, the constant traveling for a job has made it harder for her to be with her family and do outreach in the community. Lacey said the following to the outlet about why she decided to open the cafe. She said, I thought it would be of more assistance fighting a different fight than in WWE ring. I wanted to focus on helping my community to fight against addiction and to fight on the mental health side. So normalizing mental health issues, health side, and normalize mental health issues. I wanted to create a space where people could come in and unplug from their devices, but also unplug from their minds as well. So opening a coffee cafe is going to help the mental issues. And then when you're in there, you're not allowed to use your phone and you need to unplug. So you think that's going to go well, telling people not to use their phone who are mentally unstable and fighting addictions by giving them caffeine?
Well, they're not going to show up otherwise, right?
Or new mask mandates are in place by next month, and that should be an interesting thing for any new restaurant here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. This seems like a strange response instead of dealing with the question. I wish her all the best, and I hope it's a big success off of her celebrity that she gets, off the ground, opening a cafe. And here's the thing.
Me too. Me too. I wish her all the best, and I look forward to the day when we never have to talk about her anymore.
Well, here's what I got to talk about. We see her as a drill sergeant. We see her as an abused woman. We see her as a pit fighter, G.I. Jane. We see her as a Southern Belle off the plantation, off of Big Daddy's plantation. Reinvent. And then what is it that possibly got her clipped or what have you? Because she's in the hotel room in red hot negligee lingerie, looking smoking hot, and putting those pictures out on Instagram when you're supposed to be the female heel Sergeant Slaughter. That undermines everybody's shit. And then we're supposed to respect the military. It's Memorial Day weekend, and she's getting booed off the fucking stage. That was, I think, one of the last times we saw her, because they didn't do anything right along that, along with Slaughter's daughter going in on her on fucking social media. Women can do whatever they want to. That's perfectly fine, it seems, with no real repercussion or recourse, because when it comes to the judgment of, hey, respect me as a woman, respect the women's revolution. We work just as hard as the men, But then, job's gone. You know what I'm going to do? Get these titties out. I'm going to get that snatch out. You're going to be able to see through and see a little bit of my muff, but not all of it. Being, hey, keep respecting me, because I'm going to make $500,000 doing softcore porn in the first month based off of my WWE shit, because that's what I got to do. Can't we just go, hey, I got to be a whore for a while and talk about it like that? Because this level of like, respect me as a captain of industry or a small business owner, and that's what I'm doing. But the reality is I'm fucking showing my clam on fucking OnlyFans. Like, but don't you ever fucking talk down to me like anything else. When are we going to get by this, or when is it going to ever change? Or will this double standard of you got to treat me like I'm a fucking state senator, meanwhile I got the rabbit out and doing whatever I want to on the Sybian or whatever the fuck.
Oh, whore with a coffee shop, though. That's pretty good summary.
yeah, man. That's going to be one hell of a coffee shop, pal.
Yeah. Well, let's make it real simple from the wrestling aspect. She shows up as some sort of like Rosie the Riveter come to life. Okay.
Right.
And that's all it ever should have been. There should have been no reinvention. There should have been no other things. Once Vince McMahon got a hold of it, this is when it all went, it all started to go south, and then she got pregnant and she was finished at that moment. And everything since then has been engineered so that she will publicly fail. Everything. You remember that time she was in that match when she first got those, pit fighting boot camp vignettes done, and she had a match and her fucking boot fell apart? Don't think somebody didn't make that happen. Don't think she didn't leave those laying around in the locker room and somebody fucked with her boot so it was going to fall apart in the ring. Don't think that. This was all they hatcheted her every chance they got. She went along with it because what else is she going to do? She needs the money or whatever, and or she's oblivious, or both, or whatever the case may be. And she's doing her own stuff on the side, which is just further getting her more heat. And then all of a sudden she's out the door and she wants to open up a coffee shop with no cell phones. Great. This sounds like exactly the kind of person that we're leaving so much money on the table with. I don't know. Like I said, good riddance. I don't care that blondes are a dime a dozen. Statuesque blondes are a dime a dozen in wrestling. And we've got 10 more waiting to take your place. So good luck, honey.
Yeah. Yeah, and subscribe to the OnlyFans OnlyFans. That's a huge point that I don't even think I brought up, because I was reacting.
You were a hot blonde and you wanted to show.
I was a hot blonde,
okay.
And I had, but the Steve the shoe man did her boots, who does my boots, and I know Steve took a lot of negative hit press that way, because in his mind he thought, did I do a shitty job on these boots? And my boots have never fallen apart like that. And no one ever really brought up the fact that somebody probably sabotaged her boot fucking with her until you did right there, Vet. And you put that in line with all that stuff when it came off, because I was like, fuck. Because Steve has sent me gauntlets. He sent me gauntlets just to hand out to the guys and girls in the locker room, or rookies who don't have gear and stuff. I try and, and his boots are super affordable for young wrestlers, and his turnaround's fast, especially from Australia. And I knew that she had spent a lot of money with them, and that's one of the first things that'll put you on the radar for somebody to fuck with you. JBL did it to Eminem. they bought those big fucking fur jackets and came back, and one of the sleeves were cut off both sides before they debuted in them. They wore them out anyway and fucking got it over, right? But this type of shit and this hazing goes on, and I wasn't even thinking about that somebody cut the fucking all the stitching out of the bottom of her boot and then went in the match and went flying. And Corey Graves is right there to drive the fucking tax in. And who's he the stooge for on Team Cobra Kai that's over backstage that wanted to fuck with Lacey Evans? That's the bigger question. And why and Lacey probably knows and is staying hush about it and trying to get her shit over instead of being like, no, they sabotaged me at the end. I know who it was. I don't need to call him out and put the heat back on the office that way, you know? So I don't know about running a coffee shop. Getting people with depression issues tweaked out on caffeine is the main business model, but so be it. What do I know? I'm trying to sell them weed. Anything else on that, Vat? No, you're good.
No.
Okay. LA Knight addresses people talking about him, comparing him to wrestlers such as Rock and Steve Austin after Nash called him an absolute ripoff of The Rock. During the interview Inside the Ropes, Knight addressed people comparing him to wrestlers such as The Rock and Austin. He goes, it doesn't matter. I've heard that since the very beginning. I've heard it since 2003. You know, when I first started, people say, oh, he sounds like The Rock. He sounds like Austin. And even my first set of gear, I think my second set of gear when I was in Ohio, I had was red and yellow. Oh, he's being Hulk Hogan. Everybody's going to make a comparison of some sort. I'm 100% influenced by those guys. Absolutely. I'm influenced by Flair, I'm influenced by Savage, Jake the Snake, and I'm influenced by entities outside of the ring. I'm influenced by musical artists and actors. So, I mean, yeah, all that stuff's in there. At the end of the day, you put it all together, you get a conglomerate, and you got yourself LA Knight. Hey, I like it, man. I wish you would quantify it. Good artists create, great artists steal and make it their own. And that's LA Knight, baby. And of course, I'm going to take from the Mount Rushmore because I belong right up there alongside them. I got the same shit. Why reinvent the wheel? Let's just get on the racetrack and do 180 miles an hour, motherfucker. I like that he's saying, yes, I accept your criticisms. I put it all in here, shook it up, threw it back in your face, and now I'm one of the most over guys on TV. So keep talking that shit. Keep saying my name. People not saying your name is the death in this game, right?
Yep.
So
then,
I like.
They're going to keep, and then they're just going to keep dangling that carrot for the fans, and then they're just going to keep yanking it back, just like what's his name, Austin Theory yanked his tights on Friday and got that roll up, you know, because goddamn it, but because we're not yet been at the calendar point where we've decided that he's over enough to get the push and the rocket. So he's still waiting. It's still in the T- launch phase. So we're not ready for that yet. So he's got to get beat again. But as soon as the clock strikes, we're going full force with that push right to the top for LA Knight. You know, it's funny. I
believe that same conglomerate that is holding him back to some degree is probably the same squad that cut the fucking boots on Lacey.
Could be, could be. It's who knows? There's so many possible options that it's hard to nail it down. There's so many people there. It could be completely independent operations. It's just one of those things. But yeah, it's funny. All I have to do is show that. Like I show a little. The entrance from one of the Friday shows, I take my phone and show it to my brother who doesn't really watch anymore, and he looks at it. He looks at LA Knight and he goes, "Well, he's fucking over." And then that's it. That's all it is. It's like 2 seconds, so anybody can see it, and that shows you that there's a concerted effort by the office to nope, we're not doing it. We'll give him the TV time and let everybody. Let me ask you your thoughts on this, Ben. Because you notice detailed things too. When he comes out and everybody's cheering and stuff, some people could say you could pipe it in. Maybe some of it is, maybe it's not. But when I look at his face, looking at his eyes, it looks like he's almost emotional about the response to him.
Yeah.
He's trying to keep it, oh, I'm cool. But like there's that little redness around the rim of the eyes, like when you're about to kind of tear up because of like flat, you know,
Happiness
like you're
and joy,
humbled,
bro.
flattered. Yeah, just like, yeah, it's almost like all these, this guy's been working for 20 years. He's like, he's wanted to be in this position where even if he's not in the company's eyes where he wants to be, but like the people have accepted him, and that's more important because that's genuine. Do you see that, or have you not noticed
spot
that?
on with that, Vet. I think you're spot on with it, and it could be not that he's been around since 2003, but to be pushed this fast with all the guys that he's referencing, none of it happened for those guys that quick, right? It was all an evolution of a rookie to a heel to a get over, and then you're larger than life. And his
Vince McMahon's original vision doesn't work for anybody. Ringmaster, Rocky Maivia, Max Dupree.
Right, yeah. Well, I get you're spot on with there too, Vet. Those are excellent points in the track record. So maybe giving somebody who you know has unlimited potential, giving them a shitty thing to help them break out, is that part of a greater plan? That's interesting.
No, it's them trying. It's them with their low IQ trying to keep their thumb on him and just sucking at it, just like,
or is
look,
that
if you
what
suck,
I wanted you to think the whole time?
Sure it was. When you suck at one thing, you probably suck at most things. So like, if you're bad at getting people over that you want to get over, certainly you're going to be bad and not as good at sabotaging people as you could be on the reverse side of the coin. But
I think those are great points. But Tina Couponer is asking what we think about Miz and LA Knight feud, and Johnny Publix is in here with the Stooge report that he might not get along. And I talked to I talk points on Publix that I talked to Stevie about this morning on the SmackDown Live review of these clicks, that he doesn't play politics well. And then we get Miz on commentary, and it's very truth and comedy, not comedy, truth and burial, of where they're like, they say this guy's the next megastar, and they're like, how? He hasn't been on Dancing with the Stars. He hasn't had his own reality show with his hot wife. He hasn't fucking come up from MTV and brought that whole crossover audience. He hasn't main evented WrestleMania. He hasn't been a multi-time undisputed champion. Like, when Miz was saying, those darts were pretty fucking serious, of like, I could see in some room of like, why the fuck is this guy over? And they're saying he's over. He hasn't done shit for this compared to us. And a lot of that was kind of coming out on commentary. So whoever the clique is, he doesn't play politics that well. There's a group going against him. And he better keep an eye on his Timberlands. Otherwise, the bottom of his boot might be flying off soon. You know what I mean? So, and he may be, not guilty, but like, of the others, of not playing the game, staying small and just taking the ribs, and okay, then we'll let him get over. He can be one of us. Like, there's some interesting vitriol in that's not worked,
Hartnett's right. I mean, my read on him is that he's a douchebag in real life, but it doesn't matter. Like, if the douchebag can produce for you, I say go with it. And there's been lots of douchebags that get a pass. Like, there's felons that get a pass. Jeff Hardy can get indicted on 6 felonies and get a WWE championship run after that. Like, well, maybe this will straighten him out. And then other guys that their biggest crime is being a douchebag, it's like, no, we're not getting you over. And that's not an insult. That's just a fact of life, It's just like whatever. Shawn Michaels didn't have to play politics. He was all of the politics.
Yeah.
It would have been much easier to just cut his ass a long time ago, but for whatever reason, it didn't happen. So they dealt with it for however long. So there's people that actually do harm and do wrong things, and that gets swept under the rug if they want it to. If you're one of the chosen ones, if you're one of theirs, and then guys that aren't, you're a douchebag, so sorry, we can't
And I love
make
it
as
that-
much money with you as we want to. So it's not
goes
that I'm
right back to the
disputing.
Lufisto stuff with MJF, right? And fucking, we're so woke and we're the safety of our fans and da 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 da. I said to Stevie, I go, imagine if it was a trans teen driving that car that Cash Wheeler was waving the gun around at. Then we'd really have a problem.
Now here's a real juicy conversation topic.
Ooh.
Knowing the Miz, do you think he's more in the camp of, oh my God, this is what happened to me, I gotta help this guy? Or is he the ultimate office guy that's going to go along to get along? Or is he going to try to walk both lines? Like, I'll let them think that I'm doing what they want to and burying him, but really I'm going to give him I'm going to tee it up for him to knock it back out of the park on me, because I'm a better worker than them. And I don't want this guy to have to go through what I went through. Or what is your intuition tell you about that from what you know about the Miz? I mean, he was always very nice to me, but I didn't really speak to him at length at any point.
Yeah.
But
And Miz,
what do you
people
think?
at our time would have said Miz is a douchebag just like him, that he's always on and da da da,
Right.
right? But
Right.
that wasn't my interaction with him in a couple times. But I mean, it's not like we're bros and shit. It was just passing or at Rock Bar. But your point is excellent. I think that he's not going to go, I went through this, so I'm going to help this guy. I think he's going to go, I went through this, so this guy's going to go through this too.
Mhm.
And that will test him to see if he can fucking make it to the higher level of the
Well, he's
mafia
already,
guys.
well, what I'm saying is he's already going through it. So the Miz sees that, and then it's like, okay, what do I do? Do I pile on to keep him down, or do I give him the hand up? Because he's going to go through it regardless. That's not the question.
I
He's
think
already
the Miz is a
he
pro.
was already going through it before they gave him to the Miz.
Yeah.
See what I mean? So now it's like this could be a turning point. I felt like to give you a sort of a context, like I felt like there were times when guys were definitely set up to not look as good as they could have, and one that comes to example is like AJ Styles and John Cena. They had a feud some years ago. AJ Styles comes out, he reads what's clearly like a writer written promo, like he just memorized this promo and read it, and then John Cena just hit him with every improvised untalked about line to bury him in the book.
Right.
And AJ just had to sit there and take it because he had a pre-written promo and John Cena could say whatever he wants. So, that, so something like that, like, do you see Cena didn't have to go along with that if he didn't want to, but he did. Miz has a chance to not go along with it. The stuff they did on Monday Night Raw, I thought they both looked good in it. But going
but
forward
it was
to the
almost
question,
taken
it was
away.
Couponer's question. Yeah, like if they start doing too good a business, are they just going to scrap the whole feud?
I think Miz is going to do great business for him because Miz is a pro when it comes on there. But there was a lot of like real truth and vitriol, and when he was on the mic, that almost distracted from the match of what was going on to build the heat. But the business was the finish of Miz fucking him over. So we need that real heat there, and Miz is bringing it. And when you feel truth and comedy, you know it. You know the difference between something constructed, and that's why I didn't have my eyebrows raised a little bit of like, oh, okay, there's something bigger at work here with it. Now, will Miz take it easy on him? No, I think it's going to be, I went through it, you're going through it too. And if you fucking break, then you weren't never meant to have it. If you fucking make it through, then you were meant to be up here at the top. So it's the fucked up, weird world of wrestling that no employee, especially a independent contractor, should ever have to go through. Like if this was a real Mark job, you go to HR day one with that shit and it'd be over with.
Sure.
Here, it's everything that separates the men from the boys, the wheat from the chaff, those who are going to make it, those who aren't. Like you were talking about that with Cena and AJ. What was the kid that Cena had heat with way back when? That was like he wore like a Letterman jacket, a baseball jacket.
Oh,
and
yeah.
They got rid of his fucking
Riley.
ass. Yeah, Alex Riley.
Right? Who was with the Miz.
You're right. And that's where I see this same shit kind of happen, even though not that Alex Riley didn't have money on him. He was a fucking great athlete, But LA Knight, they've obviously strapped a bigger rocket to and give him attention, and now they're testing him. And I think the fact that he's a man in his 30s as opposed to a kid in his 20s, that's what the difference is going to be in how you sell it. And these fuckers get to me. So interesting premise. But you absolutely saw something rotten in Denmark there, much like I did. It definitely set my radar off just a little bit. Tony Khan, you might have heard of him, says that Sting is on the greatest run of his career right now in AEW. He was on the Chase McCabe show. He says, when you talk about some of the biggest names in pro wrestling, for me, it starts and ends with Sting. He's one of the all-time greats. He's one of my all-time favorites. Sting's been a huge part of AEW, and one of the greatest things we accomplished was bringing Sting out of retirement. He's still wrestling to this day. He's undefeated in AEW, and in fact, he's on the greatest run of his career right now in AEW. He's going to be facing AR Fox in a casket match that we just found out. But I don't know if this is his greatest run, especially when he's going through tables and you're not protecting him and he's smashing his face on TV, and you're just doing that, and it's not even a pay-per-view.
Oh, that was pretty great.
This week we had a return to TNA Sting, very much the Joker, Dark Knight Joker character, right on the money. And I really liked how much he committed to the bit compared to being Darby's mentor, WCW Crow Sting. This was more character and big, bright-eyed faces, crazy clown stuff. But we're pretty much, again, stealing directly from the movie and not really making it our own, even though we did a good job committing to the bit with it.
Stealing from two movies.
Yeah. Is it the best Sting we've ever seen? I don't think so. I think that, probably Flair versus fucking Sting in WCW, as well as in the Joker version of him in Impact, were the two best we've ever seen. Everything else is kind of a nostalgia act based off of those time periods here.
Yeah, it could be. Sting has some good runs, late 80s, mid 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess now's a pretty good run because,
sure,
he's still out there. He's still doing stuff. And this was after he was supposedly
best run. I don't know.
No. Well, that's just because he has to say that. But I mean, it's not a bad run if you just consider that he was supposed to have been retired due to injury, but he's still able to go and do some stuff. And he helps give Darby a level of legitimacy. So that's been good. I was thinking about it, talking out loud the other day when I was streaming, and I was saying how like Darby's had probably one of the better runs in AEW because he's never done anything that he shouldn't have done. And I know the first thing that people's minds go to when I say that is the stunts, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about for his character, he's never done anything out of character. The stuff that MJF is doing on television right now is the worst stuff he's done that he shouldn't be doing. But he's had great stuff, but he's also had some black marks on there. Dinner Debonair now. And Darby's never done anything where he's never really been a part of
Pennies from Heaven, or no? You're a Pennies from Heaven guy?
That was in character. I thought that fit because that was a good douchey thing to do. So Darby's never done anything against what his character should do. Sting's been along to help him out and be like I think he's fulfilled a good role for what that casual fan would see. Like if a casual fan or a time capsule fan that was unfrozen from the past and thawed out and now, and then if you just show them the stuff in AEW that Darby and Sting have done, it'd probably be some of the less offensive stuff that they would see on the AEW program. So it's a decent run for Sting. Of course, it's not the best, but all things considered, it's a nice run, I think.
I agree. The mentorship, the nostalgia. I don't like him taking bumps that Darby should be taking for him. One thing this week in my timeline, because I joined some, not that this is probably stupid as stooge off, but after I retire someday, some skateboarders over 50 group, just to see old guys skating. That gives me hope that I might be able to do it one day again. So I take that first bump and like, fuck this. But to see X Games stuff from all this week pop up skateboard wise, and where's Darby Allin? Do you know what I mean? Like that should absolutely be his crossover and mic work and all that kind of shit to go recruit that audience to bring him back over here is crazy to me that he wasn't a part of that. So I liked the movie produced stuff that they did together, like the dragging the body bag and in the car, and like that is good stuff, man. And I think we need more of that. But now we're just trying to get this whatever iteration of Sting over, and I get worried anytime he's got to do these stupid AEW matches where guys want to do things that you should not be doing with a fucking legend. Absolutely. I don't trust them to protect him from himself.
Well, that's the thing. He could always say no. So if he's not saying no, then who are you to tell Sting?
I will. Hey, give me a fucking bang off ladder. Fuck you. I'm giving you off the ladder, bro. You give me, I'll just fall. You can come splash or whatever you want, but I ain't giving you nothing is what I'd say right to his face. Fuck that. I'm not going to be the guy who crippled Sting at All In. You can suck a dick on that one, pal.
Crippled him again.
Yeah. Like, no, that ain't my spot. There's one. I'm going to save this for Master Shoot Theater. So a little preview. Vince McMahon allegedly had a big grin on his face after seeing his wife Linda kiss Eric Bischoff. So I look forward to breaking that one down with Russo on Master Shoot Theater tomorrow, you guys. The big story, though, apparently it's always going down on the road, bro. Whether it's Cash Wheel or what have you. But Sonny facing 25 years based off of vehicular homicide, pleads guilty to that. Under DUI, along with 4 other charges of driving without license and some other, that go along with that. So big facing down the barrel. At least she was human enough to stop trying to be a carny worker because I know she fired her other lawyer when she was thinking she could get out with some excuse of I was famous once or what have you. And now here we are coming up on the court date. And the reality is, yeah, I did it. And when you plead guilty, usually they're going to give you that one chance and it will cut your time in half of what you need to do. And then with good behavior, you might knock X amount off. But depending on how hard this judge cracks thunder, and I've seen some judges cracking thunder in the last fucking week, you're talking about taking out somebody's grandfather because you were fucked up on gimmicks and stole your fucking pimp boyfriend's car, and now it's time to pay that price. And maybe it's a self-fulfilling prophecy or some type of I need to take myself out of the equation. Unfortunately, it came at the cost of a man's life. And maybe she'll do 8 to 12 years if they sentence her to 25. But it's time for a big timeout and justice, or are we going to get slap on the wrist bullshit? I don't see it this time, man. But the pictures floating around, obviously she just looks like a shell of who she was, and time and drugs have caught up to her every which way here, man.
What choice does she have, really? This isn't unlike the Cash Wheeler thing. There can be no extenuating circumstances or other possible things. Like, she took any excuses right off the table. There's nothing you can say about it. All you could do is plead guilty and hope for leniency, because there's no questions left. So, and there shouldn't have ever been any sort of get out of jail free celebrity card to play anyway, because she's not that fucking big of a celebrity to deserve one, even by the weird standard that we might set for celebrities.
Well,
that's what I'm saying. Like, even if you're delusional enough to think that celebrities deserve a pass,
right,
you still probably don't think that Sonny deserves a pass for her level of celebrity. Like, if you're on the Mark scale, she's still too low to get a pass for the crimes that she's committed.
How about Buddy on the movie set with the gun, Baldwin?
Well, I don't know about that. But that's what I'm saying. There could still be questions about that, but about this, there are no questions. Yeah. This is there's nothing can save you here. Everything is, it's pretty right out there in front of us. So.
I put that out there because I say that, and then Jeff Hardy got out of his last one, so who knows? But is the time of you're over as a celebrity, and because you're a movie actor versus a wrestler, you're fucked wrestler, movie actor, you're fine? Or are we just done with that where it's like everybody's getting smashed down? You know what I mean? There is no, you got over anymore.
It's not done. It's not done. There will always be that level. You know, like it just the whole thing is it's all nepotism. It's all who you know. It's all who knows you. It's all who can get you a favor. It's all that's all everything in the entire world is, you know, even though I like to think I earned it by now. I'm only sitting here because you sent me the job offer. So it's like everybody to some degree relies on certain help, but it's are you going to abuse it?
You got that backwards. I sent you the offer to job, but you said you were going to lay down for
I said I was going to I said I was going to take over is what I said. I was
laying down for you. Fuck you.
Yeah, counter offer. But seriously, so there's always that's always going to exist. So whatever level of markdom exists for that particular individual determines their circumstance. And if they end up committing crimes in somewhere where they're not over, they're not going to get that same level of leniency. They're not going to get the free pass. They might have to, you know, we might have to work out some deals for international extradition or whatever for those kind of things. So yeah, it will always exist. But this, like, it was time. It was already time. Yeah. And we're out of free passes.
I think the biggest takeaway from it is I was shocked that her face was scarier than Leatherface's was when I saw it.
They could have 3D printed a Sunny mugshot and then made the mask out of that. Goo.
I mean, come on. Would you rather have sex with Leatherface or Sunny doing 20 to life?
Wasn't that Francis from Pee-wee's Big Adventure?
I was gonna say, reminds me of the Bulldog from Looney Tunes, the fucking with the big fucking side chuffs.
It's another thing Warner Brothers fucked up.
Yeah,
exactly. Look what happened. The Bulldog's going to jail.
Yeah. So, I mean, some lucky prison guard will get to say he had sex with a WWE superstar. I mean, if there's anything to come out with it in the next 8 years. But y'all, man, we got it done here. We're opening cafes, flashing guns, kissing Linda, whatever we got to do to stay top guys and head to Wembley for All In. I think that's the most important lesson of the day. Be everyone on the road, be damned. We got a pay-per-view to get to. God damn it. So
that's right. This weekend.
Yeah, that's right.
I would tell you the day, but I don't want to get it wrong and have CM Punk make an Instagram story on.
Points to the vet on the way out. Points to the vet as well. It'll be a big week here at HMG. I'm not sure by the end of the week what's going down because I got to go back to court for all the cannabis stuff. Supreme Court ruling. Who would have thought I'd be in this position in joining in a lawsuit with my partners here? But that's the way 2CW does it, baby. We're not going to be dictated to. We're the fucking anti-heroes, and we go over strong as heels do one way or another. So please keep a good thought for all that this week, man. We really want to go over strong and just get to where we need to be and take HMG to a whole nother level if that happens. What else going on Wednesday? I'll probably be out of contact because I may be up at the top part of the U.S. Looking for my next weather weapon strike in Maine while probably feasting on lobsters all day long because it'll be my 46th birthday. So I'm taking the day off that way. So interesting all the way around how this week shakes out. Because I keep telling Fandango when he comes down, I'm like, where's my lobster rolls, bro? He's like, oh, they're out of my bus. And then I go out there and there's no bus. So he keeps lying to my face. But y'all, man, Vet, what do you got going down? You might not be on the Impact Attack this week, but I'm sure you're probably with Big Ray doing the next level review. I know we also, this morning, Charles the Hammer Evans reached out to me again. So if you guys want to tap into Charles's expertise as well, I would love to have him back here on HMG anytime we can, man.
Sure, I would too. I love Charles, so great to get to reconnect with him, and we had a fun time when he did join us on Next Level Wrestling Review, which can be every Wednesday, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern, live with myself and Big Ray Hernandez if you want to catch it live. If not, channelattitude.com is where you want to go for that and for all your HMG stuff. Don't forget, it doesn't just get you the current stuff, it gets you everything ever. For the low price of way less than you'd pay for a barista to tell you to mask up. So so definitely check that out. Check out Wrestling with Rip Rogers, of course. You know, no concrete times, but you know, just stay followed to the channel. It's free to follow a channel, so go ahead and subscribe to that channel and get notified, so that way you can ask Rip Rogers questions whenever he's available.
Absolutely.
And that's going to be a wealth of knowledge to pull from. Of course, Stevie Richards doing all of his big things with his channel. Just, you can't stop his channel from growing. You just can't do
Dude,
it.
over 100,000 views, 164,000 on the Goldberg Spear in a week.
Right.
Dude, I'm
And
super happy for him. That's just
can you
so
blame
awesome.
people? Everybody wants to know
Should
what it's
be.
like to the highest level I ever got, you know, speared by was what would the fans
Big
know
Cat?
him as? Ricky Ortiz,
Oh, yeah,
Atlas
yeah.
Ortiz, Atlas DeBone,
Yeah.
Rich Young, former XFL
You like
player. Yeah, like that wasn't fun. I'm sure Goldberg was probably also not fun, but that was a very interesting video,
You
especially
didn't
how
get
he
speared
broke
by
down.
Big Cat? Like being
I
speared
I
by
did,
Goldberg.
but Big Cat was so, he was gentle. He was gentle, and except for that time I sicked him on Brad Maddox. That time he wasn't as gentle. But that's what happens when you dispute a vet book finish. You get
That's right,
the shoot
baby.
spear from Big Cat. So anyway, yeah, so like I said, check out Stevie Richards Wrestling Analysis, check out Stevie Richards Fitness, check out Stevie Richards Everything. The Patreon content and the YouTube content are two different sets of content. So he's not, you know, when you're paying for the premium, you're getting more, but it's also different. It's not just like, oh, you get it a week early, or oh, you get a preview on YouTube and then get the whole thing. No, he's doing two
Yeah, I think he
separate
just
levels of
did
content.
Samoa Joe with Punk botch at the end. So with I
Right.
can't want to call them Vianos. Who were the gold conquistadors?
Conquista. Oh yeah, yeah. He was like, what was he, Vampiro something or other?
Yes.
So that was Golden Vampire or something like that. Yeah. So it was that was kind of funny. But yeah. So check out Stevie Richards, and that's all from me.
awesome, man. Well, great plugs all the way around. And again, thank you guys for hanging out with us live this morning. We're 42 strong. We're usually above our 33rd and 3rd Freemasons. Saw some hardcore Immortal fans. My wife, 121, Billy Wolf in the house, hanging out with us live here. Appreciate that. Todd Brantley, Frank's Pickle Barrel Ass, and all the hardcore. Get the fuck out of here. That are hanging out with us. man.
Fat-headed
Keeping-
freak out of here.
hanging out and being those awesome subs while everything's ever changing around us. So if you like the conspiracy horseman talk up front, I mean, it's always a little bit of doom and gloom, but be aware and think about how you're going to react in situations where forces are pitting you against your fellow man or woman. So don't sell for any of that shit, and try and keep your head cool as we move into the fall here. Looking forward to it. And everybody who joined the Hameen Media on Facebook, having a good time. There's new users over there, so just be aware that not everybody may be smartened up to all the inside jokes, and you may need to use a little kid gloves till we bring them up to speed of some of the workers you guys have turned into around here. So y'all training tomorrow night at Upstate Wrestling Entertainment, and more shows with Russo Brand on the road Wednesday and Friday. So we'll try and make sure all the uploads are here for you guys. And I got some new Dr. Jeff Lippman shows I got to put up on the Podbean for free. So we're always in your ear holes, infidels. Brand new flavor in your ear every Monday and Friday on the Locker Room, and the Wednesday Locker Room as well. Make sure you go check out @StranglerSteve_ because he's going to have that gift challenge so you can get your shout outs on the Wednesday Locker Room so everybody knows your name here on Hameen Media Group. YOLO.
Ding dong. Hello?
If you're not Caucasian, then leave. Mark Henry.